Hello, it's nice to see you this morning, bright and early here in Canada. I'm getting set to do a little watercolor painting, watercolor sketching this morning, and I thought that I would schedule another live stream. So, welcome to my live stream. I have made a cup of coffee and I'm looking forward to chatting with some of you. I see Melinda is here. Good morning, Melinda. I hope you're having a good Saturday so far. Is it morning for you or is it sometime later in the day where you are? It's 9 o'clock here in Nova Scotia, Canada. So we're having a good morning. I'm just gonna check my settings here. Looks like everything is good. Let me know if you can hear me. I had a little trouble with audio yesterday. I hadn't live streamed in many months and I was a little rusty, so I ended up with a bit of audio problems at the very start, but I think things are probably pretty good so far. So I don't know, I think Melinda caught my premiere of yesterday's art. I'll just flip my camera around here so you can see what I'm talking about. I did a painting yesterday of this set of berries, and I did it two ways. The first way is this way, so this is sort of what's the word I'm looking for? A tight rendition where it's a little bit more crisp. And then I did a loose one with flowy watercolors and just went crazy with letting things blend and mix together, all the good stuff. Yeah, so I hope everybody's doing well. I'm just gonna pull up the chat here again so I can keep track of things. I see Lindsay, Rainbow House of Birds is here. Good morning, Lindsay. Where in the world are you? It's morning here for me, and I'm getting set to do a little bit of sketching and painting and chatting with you lovely people. So you can see the chat is down in the corner. You can't read it probably, but at least you'll know when I see your comment because there is some lag here on YouTube. So if you post a comment and then wait for it to pop up on the side here, then you'll know that's when I might get a chance to look at it. Of course, I'm going to be doing a bit of painting, so there will be some times when I'm actually not looking at the chat. This is a good cup of coffee. I'm going to keep it warm. I'm just going to cover it with this. So Lindsay's in the UK. I'm unsurprised that you're in the UK. I was guessing that I would have more viewers from overseas because it's morning here in North America. First thing, 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and we're in the earliest time zone in Canada. So that means that, or actually in North America, and that means that everyone else, it's still 8 a.m. And I don't know a whole lot of people who jump out of bed at 8 a.m. on Saturday and they don't have anything to do except watch live streams on YouTube. So yeah, there's that. So I'm doing a little bit of looking around to see what I might paint this morning. And I don't know, there must be a food theme going in my brain these days because I come up with another potential something to paint, and it is this lovely bowl of deliciousness. I was actually just looking for avocado, and then I came up with this whole bunch of like a poke bowl or something, a sushi bowl. I don't know what you call this, but deliciousness, that's what I call it. So I'm not exactly sure what if that's too challenging for me to draw or paint. I mean, I like to fail, so I should probably just do this one. And Lindsay says, it's 1 p.m. in the UK, right on. Yeah, so you've had your lunch, or maybe you're just about to have it. Yeah, I just having coffee, haven't had breakfast yet. And Melinda says yes. So that is fabulous. I think that was the answer to my question about sound. Hopefully that's the answer, but since the chat makes sense, I'm guessing you can hear me. So this was a favorite. I thought about doing this one, and let's just have a little look through here and see what else I could possibly do. So I've got sort of a bunch of options here. I don't know. You can tell me what you think. I literally the search term that I used is avocado. So there's going to be avocado hopefully in all of these pictures. And this one's still catching my eye. And I don't mind this one actually. I like the simplicity of it being like just a couple of avocados on a plate. I mean, I'm contemplating putting it in my kitchen with my food collection if it ends up working. I think this one, while it's really nice, might be too busy. For the collection. I'm just gonna move my mic. I have a feeling that when I turn my head, you can't see me so well. Lindsay paints birds, house of birds, rainbow house of birds. And yeah, so I'm definitely going to paint some still life on my Instagram. I just posted a challenge, which is it's a hashtag draw this in your style challenge. And it was for a building in Newfoundland, which is a province in Canada, and it's called Cabot Tower. So hashtag draw Cabot Tower. And it's really fun to see people do art in their own style and how differently everyone approaches things. So I sketched and painted the Cabot Tower myself as part of the challenge. And I've had a couple of entries. I just posted it yesterday. Oh, the days are blending all together. I just posted it Thursday night. So yeah, it's fun to watch other people and see what styles they have. So I guess I'm sort of between like I like these two avocados. Let's look at them up close again. And then also I like this one. It's a little extensive, but really tasty looking. Might not be too bad. I mean, if I left off this piece of herbery, I don't know if it's cilantro. I never know what's what. Just gonna make sure my chat is at the bottom. There we go. All right. Okay, so any thoughts, ladies? People? Which one should I do? I really like the way the nut looks in this one, but it's too obscure. I'm not a super creative fill in the blanks person. I like to see what I'm painting. So the one with the nut in it, oh, that one's kind of nice. All right, I like that there's multiple colors there, but it's also quite simple. All right, well, if I did this one, I might have time to do another one. I usually stream for about an hour and a half. So there's a possibility that I would have time to do two. So there's that one with the nut. Let's see what else there is here. And that one was too fuzzy. I like the lighting in this one. Like these ones are pretty, but they're sort of bold and not inspiring, I guess. I mean, I could paint these ones with this background, which would be something, but I like the way this one's on a bit of a like 3/4 angle, so you can see part of the side of it also. Yeah, so let me just move things around here on my screen so I can see all the things I'm trying to see at the same time, which is not easy to do when you're streaming. And I'm sorry, you don't need to hear me chat about all the things about streaming, but seeing the chat at the same time. Oh, I think it's in this window. This will help. Perfect. Okay, now I can see everything at once. Move this, move that, minimize this. All right, we're cooking with gas now. Is that a saying in around the world, or is that just a Canada thing? Cooking with gas means like things are really cooking, not just pretend cooking, whatever that means. All right, so I just need to get these layered up well enough that I can see everything. All right, I think that's good. Okay, I can see the chat, I can see the screen. We're in business. Also another cooking with gas saying. All right, so no one's got an opinion. No one has told me their opinion, but I'm kind of leaning toward this single avocado in shadows. So it's between this one and there was another one with a nut. Oh, there was the sandwiches. They looked pretty fun to paint. And And then I started off thinking I'd paint this crazy busy bowl of everything, which is super challenging to manage in a short amount of time. All right, which one? Since you guys are no help, I'm gonna pick for myself. I guess I'm gonna pick this one. And like I said, if there turns out to be more time, then I'll be able to do another one. So tell me what's going on with you guys this morning. I have made a cup of coffee and got my watercolors ready and got my live stream set up going. So I've had a productive start to my Saturday, and hopefully this doesn't fall over, but it could. So I'm just gonna finish propping these things around in a way that I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just gonna get everything going here. So I need to get a fresh piece of paper, so I'm gonna flip over. This was from yesterday's live stream, and there's a video this morning it went up if you haven't seen it. Okay, so now we get some comments. I like the double on the plate zoomed in a little. All right, let's just look at that one more time. The double on a plate zoomed in a little. Double on a plate zoomed in a little. I think she means this one. The double on a plate. Yeah, I like that one too. I like that there's a nut in the other one. So I might do both of those, but I'm going to start with the one that has a nut in it. So there's my reference. And thank you for your contribution. I'm always, you know, some people don't want to chat. Some people just want to watch, and that's fair. Fair and cool and all that stuff. But I'm just going to make sure everything is tight here and set up so it doesn't fall midstream. That would be a disaster. You know, as disastrous as anything can be when you're painting. Actually, yesterday I had almost a disaster because I had a big splotch of paint in the middle of my artwork. Brown paint, no less, on a white section, which was no fun whatsoever. All right, so what I'm going to do first is what I did first yesterday, and I'm going to go straight in painting. I'm going to go straight in with like sketch out what's in there. So using a pencil, I'm going to draw what I'm planning to paint. Now this won't be too hard because it's an avocado. Shouldn't be too many details required. But then I'm going to do a second version. I'm going to come back in again, and I'm going to do it loose. So just like throw the colors on, hope for the best, see what happens. So we're going to start with the sketched version, and I'm going to chat with you while we go. So one more sip of coffee before I get right into it. This coffee is important, especially at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And it's delicious. Black coffee. Black. How do you take your coffee? Do you guys drink coffee or do you drink tea? I know that people from the UK have a reputation for being tea drinkers, but I'm betting that that's not all you drink. And I have another pair of glasses somewhere, here they are, that I can see close up with. So tell me, coffee or tea? What's your go-to beverage? Or something else. Maybe you have something else as a go-to beverage. All right, now I gotta move this microphone so I can get at my art. Let's put it down here. That looks good. Okay. Finally ready. The first mark on the page. So I'm gonna have the avocado sort of a little bit to the right of center, just the way the one in the reference is. And then I'm going to fill in. All right, so I feel like I know how big I want it to be. So I'm gonna start up there, come around here. I can't wait to see your birds, Lindsay. You must have an Instagram account. You wanna pop me your credentials there. I will check you out later. How do I follow you on Instagram? Because I do follow some bird painters on Insta, and I enjoy very much. So lactose-free coffee addict. Lactose-free coffee. So does that mean you put a creamer in it, but not a dairy creamer? Or is it a milk with no lactose in it, like a cow's milk with the lactose removed? So many ways you can be lactose-free on the dairy or on the creamer. I just take my coffee black. Nothing. Just coffee. All right, so here we go. I'm shaping up this avocado with some careful sketch lines. I mean, how careful do I have to be? It's an avocado. They're not perfect ever, and they're never the same shape. So kind of got easy on that one. Yeah, I like tea as well, but I'm on a coffee kick lately. And that's just for now. All winter I drank chai. Chai. All right, so this is where the avocado sort of, you can start to see the back of it a little. And it's gonna come down. You can see the underneath side a little bit. So it gets, the skin gets a bit thicker here. And then we see underneath the avocado. And then it comes up. So some people like to do like thumbnails of their art first and kind of get the lay of the land. I don't do that. I just jump right in. You know, if I don't like it, I can always just start again. It's a thing. All right, so there's my outward shape of this lovely avocado, and now we're gonna go in for the nut. So the fun thing about this nut is that, I think it's called a nut, maybe it's called a seed. It's the thing in the middle of the avocado. The fun thing about this one is that in addition to being like a sphere, so we'll get to paint the shadow on one side, it also is slightly removed, like it's not touching. I think someone might have popped it out and then put it back in, because you can sort of see a really deep shadow around the edge of it, like down in here there's going to be some really dark edges. So the challenge on this one is really just going to be keeping the nut nice and smooth, because I love how smooth it looks. So I'm seeing yes to dairy. Yes, no to dairy at all. I have black or free from lactose milk. Free from lactose milk. Yeah, I drink some, what's it called? Cashew milk. Cashew milk is my kind of go-to non-dairy milk. Okay, so this does not look anything like my reference, which is this one here, but it does look like an avocado. So that's the thing. That's the most important thing. My light source is going to be coming in this direction. So I'm going to have shadow on this side, and then just maybe some mottled background. So I'm just going to pull some of this off with my kneaded eraser and get it cleaned up a bit so I can put some paint down. And I am going to do the background first, because I want it to have, it looks like it's sitting on some kind of stone countertop. And you might not be able to see these lines anymore, but I can still see them. That's all that matters, mostly. I guess you can't see them at all. Okay, it was there. There was an avocado there. So now I'm going to go ahead and start to paint. And I'm going to use, I've got kind of a softer, it's an oriental art brush. I'm going to use this first to put my background in, and then I'm going to switch over to using something a little snappier. And just going to wet down everything over here, spray it. Give it a good spray. I'm using Cotman colors here, just a Winsor Newton student grade paint, and Canson paper with an inexpensive brush. All of this stuff right here is super affordable. This little plate was ridiculously expensive, but everyone on YouTube seems to have one, and I keep wanting one. So I decided I should have one, and I picked it up during the pandemic. Okay, so now for the background, I'm going to come in with just a bit of something mottled and neutral. So I've got a leftover mixture here from yesterday. I don't know what's in there, but I'm pretty sure it's burnt umber and a little bit of ultramarine blue, because I was looking for a dark shady shade. So right now I'm just going to sweep a bit of this into the painting, and maybe I'll start at the bottom corner, because with the light shadow this way, if it ends up too dark, I won't regret it. So this is not the actual shadow, this is just the tabletop, the actual table. And I'm just gonna smear it on here in some random ways and add a bit more water just to pull lots of variety out of this. And I'm gonna keep it off the avocado itself, but try to keep it uniform. I'm gonna keep it off the green part of the avocado. I don't mind if it gets on the, well, I guess there's gonna be some peeling shell. What do you call that? Avocado. That's the peeling, but you know what I'm saying. It's going to be back there. So this is going to be the tabletop, and I'm just going to pull this away with some water just to really spread it around and give it some variety. I'm tempted to do a little splatter here of something just to really give it some organic background texture. All right, that should do. And I did go right over top of some of my sketching down here, but that's the part, obviously, that is the skin shell thing. All right, so let's keep this going. All right, now what the next thing we have to do is avoid touching the wet stuff with a different color if we don't want it to bleed everywhere. So I'm going to start in next with the nut, and actually gonna do some nice light washes first. So I have something, oh, you know what I really want is my quinacridone gold. So I'm gonna grab my other paints, which are somewhere close by. I know it. Here they are. Reach. All right, so quinacridone gold is my favorite yellow, and I have some in this palette. So I'm just going to pull some out of here. All right. I'm not ignoring you guys. If you want to keep chatting with me, you may. If you don't prefer to chat, I'm happy to talk to myself. I did a lot of that during the pandemic. Can you relate? All right, so quinacridone gold. So this is just a mishmash of a bunch of Daniel Smith colors and a couple of Winsor Newton Artist Grade, I think. So let's just see what we can do here with a little bit of this quinacridone gold. I won't use this palette because I didn't clean it. I'm just gonna pop it over here on my little flower. And now I'm gonna use this, go straight in and make a little circle to get this nut going. And I can't see the image anymore. There we go. So I moved everything. I'm gonna put it closer. Okay, keep it on going. So this is going to be fairly pale, so I'm right now just sort of putting it down. Isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh, that color makes me so happy. I didn't used to like yellow. Yellow was never really my favorite color. Then I discovered this golden gorgeousness. There's a Mustang on my street. I don't know if you can hear him driving down the road, but oh my gosh, this color, oh, I could just like look at it all day. I use it for so many things. I often use it as like the base color for stucco buildings because it gives the stucco a whole bunch of energy. Because stucco can sometimes be a little bit bland. So the nut's going to be in there. It looks like an egg right now. It looks like an egg. It's not going to be an egg if you just tuned in. Can you guess what this not egg is? And I'm just going to be a little careful not to overwork this paper because it's a travel, like I'll show you the cover of the sketchbook. It's a Canson mixed media. It's not even watercolor paper, so you can chew up the paper quite easily if you're not careful. Okay, so I did something out here and I did something in here, so I'm gonna move back out and I'm gonna add some deeper color, like the base tone for the nut of the, you guessed it, avocado. So I'm gonna get a little burnt sienna here. I feel like that's gonna make a nice, I don't need much, so I'm just gonna pop it over here with these greens and be careful not to muddy up my greens. So next is just this sort of little edge. Probably don't, oh, I'll put it here anyway. I'm gonna go all the way around just slightly, and this is a super organic edge and I can clean up the inside later because I do want it to be straight on the part that's touching the green, and I'm super hopeful that my background is dry enough to be doing this. Otherwise, I'm gonna have avocado on the background. All right, so far so good. All right, so I'm going in, this is super light because this is the highlights. With watercolor, you have to always put your lightest colors on first and go in with the shadows later. I'm sure you know that, but I like to teach when I'm painting. I'm a teacher by trade. You didn't know that. I'm a piano teacher. I also have another YouTube channel where I teach piano. That feels like worky work. This is super fun. Oh, so I've got some more comments I have to check out. I said hello to Sarah. Nice to see you. And Lindsay agrees it looks like an egg, and she loves that color. And wants me want a salad real bad with a runny egg. Oh, that would be so good. Avocados and eggs go really well together. And maybe that there's no coincidence since they actually look like each other. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll have for my brunch today. So I have not yet eaten. All right, so now we've got the lightest of that. Okay, so I think I have to be careful now because I've got something here that's dry, something here that's wet. Then I've got dry and dry. So I want to go in with green next, but I also don't want to get anything else wet. So I think what I'll do is I'll clean off a spot for my green. I need a fair bit of it, and I don't want it to smudge. So maybe I'll just pull this little middle bit out here, this blue, because I'm not going to really need any blue in this particular piece. So I got a nice clean center here with my blue gone, and now I'm going to mix up a nice green. So it's going to be a variable color green, and the middle part is yellowest. So my yellow is super dirty, so this is an awesome opportunity to clean it because I think I have green mixed into yellow here. So just pull that off. Double duty here, cleaning at the same time as painting. All right, so there is a bunch of yellow paint in my flower, and now I'm going to add some green, but not too much because I feel like the green I'm gonna use sap green at first. I might put some Viridian in, but let's see what happens with some sap green because I want it to be very vibrant. And this sap green, it's kind of a cool green, so it may not be as vibrant as I want. All right, so that's one type of green. Let's go with Viridian next, which is a warm green, which I might end up finding to be more vibrant. Melinda's got the emojis going. I like it, you guys. Eggs and happy faces and eggs and and avocados. So nice. All right, so this is Viridian. It's a really punchy green, and it's a warm, a cool tone. So let's see what we get when we put that together. Yeah, it's gonna be something, but not mostly what I'm looking for. It's more cartoony if I work on that end. So I'm just gonna lay this flat so it doesn't go everywhere. And I'm gonna focus in on the yellow with the sap green. Grab a bit more yellow here and keep this side going. Because like I said, I'm gonna need quite a bit. Because I am doing this twice. I'm painting this 2 times. This is the tedious one where I plan everything. Eggvocado, that's so funny. Hey, Alex and random stuff. Nice to see you. Where in the world are you? Actually, I think I missed Sarah. Where are you from, Sarah? Are you in the UK or in North America or somewhere else? Because so far we're representing. Okay. This is probably dry enough. Now, there's a little shadow area. No, there's a little highlight in the top here because we set our light sources going this way. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a section where there's no paint at all. Ooh, look at that. This is the undertone. So it's the lightest color that's going to happen on the green section of the avocado. So you see I left that white up there. And it looks really pale on the live stream, but I'm going to do, what do you call it? It's not really a time lapse. I guess it's a time lapse. A remix. I've got another camera running that has much better color. And I threw up a remix of my last live stream. You might have seen it this morning. It's a bowl of berries. And the resolution and colors are way more accurate, way closer to reality. So that's what's going to happen there. And I'm experimenting with some vertical video. I don't know. I'm old school. Video should be sideways, but I get it. People are on their phones sometimes, and they want to watch videos without turning their phones because they're lazy. Because people are lazy. Oh my. I am people. I am also lazy. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Now I'm gonna add a bit of variety into this right away because I love when it's wet on wet, and it just gives that organic sort of flow of color. So I'm just gonna darken up these edges here, because this is where the avocado is darkest. It's lightest near the pit, seed, nut. Okay, guys, tell me, wait, what do you want me to call this? The nut? The pit? The seed? I know it doesn't matter, but I feel like asking questions. Silly questions that don't matter. Because we shouldn't have to talk about anything too serious. On a Saturday, let's just chill and do some art. All right, so I'm starting to like this. This is starting to come together nicely. I love avocados, so no surprise I'm enjoying painting one. I like the way the colors are sort of blending into each other. I'm going to add a little bit of dark right in here, just because there is going to be a little shadow from the nut there. And I'm going to do a sneaky thing too, which is I'm going to add a little bit of green, not this much, clean off my brush, a little bit of green into the bottom half of this golden color, because the light reflects in both directions, and even though you don't know it, you'd see both of those colors. I'm just going to pull it off now because I don't want it to be too pervasive, but you can see how that little bit of green kind of makes the two match. Awesome. Okay, so now I want to wait till this dries a tiny bit. I want to put a little tiny bit of quinacridone gold right in that little reflection. It's a little too wet because I just made that mark, but good. Okay, so we got some votes here. Lindsay says I should call it a pit or a seed. I guess you're right, because it is a seed. It can grow. I always think of pits as something small, but I guess plums have pits, and those are pretty big. Actually, I think pits are bigger than seeds. Yeah. So the pit, the avocado pit, and then the green part is the pith, I think. I'm not a botanist. I should make a hashtag not a botanist. Okay, so I think maybe that's dry enough to add a little bit of gold, just a hint right along here, just to give that shadow the same color. They're reflecting off each other. All right, so now let's see what's next. Darkening up the all the various parts. So I'm going to go ahead and create a darker what am I calling this? Peeling shell. I should have done my avocado research before I started this video. That's okay. It's kind of hilarious to me. I don't know if you find it hilarious. All right, so I've got some burnt umber, and I'm gonna put that over here where my other dark was, where my background color was. Burnt umber, and I'm also gonna grab some burnt sienna, all the burnt colors, just because it's a little reddish and it'll give some variety. I kind of don't like painting with one flat color. All right, so now here we go. We're gonna darken this up. I feel like it's not dark enough, but that's okay. We can always add more color. It's hard to take it away, easy to add more. So right now, this is just the little edge, adding some texture. So that's coming into my avocado. I don't want that. So that's what you get when you're not patient. You end up with brown and the green. Okay, it's gone. Yay. So now be more careful, Lisa. Stay off the green, because the green is still wet. And I'm just going over this in a little irregular way, trying to leave some of those highlights, because it's that's why I put the highlights down, so we'll see them when we're done. If I cover them over too much, we lose them. All right, I'm gonna stick with the burnt umber a little bit more. Okay, pull in a little bit more of that burnt sienna, mix them together, and we're gonna, a lot of this is gonna be redarkened because it's in shadow, but for now we're just moving on with the next texture. All right. So what's everybody got going on today? Is it a busy day? It's really dreary weather here today for me. It's raining and cold. Yesterday it snowed. Not much. Snow came down out of the sky. It didn't stick anywhere. But it did snow. That was unpleasant. I had lunch plans with friends yesterday, which felt so decadent because you know how life's been this year. So getting a chance to gather with friends is extra special. Ooh, it's getting a little thick. I need to keep it thin. Thick skin, you know. Maybe I didn't cut it quite in the middle, so you see the little edge up there. It's not the way I planned it, but that's, you know, that's the beauty of painting. What does Bob Ross say? It's a happy accident, because you know accidents, you're always happy. Bob Ross, gotta love Bob. The world, you know, some people came into the world and made a really big impact by doing super simple things. Like if you think about Bob Ross, he's just a very, well, he's got a really interesting background. Does anybody want to share if they know the background of Bob Ross's life history? Because, you know, you'd think he was just a hippie artist, period. End of story. But there's a little more to him than that. But, you know, what he's known for is the way he just cheered everybody up with his art and his process. And he was always relaxed, and he encouraged everybody to be relaxed and chill and not too concerned about mistakes, and you know, just enjoy the process. And you know, I think that he gave a lot of people a lot of hope when it came to life in general. You know, you could turn on PBS and watch Bob Ross paint happy trees and all the, you know, mostly happy trees, but happy little brooks and happy things. Everything Bob Ross painted was happy. And so, you know, he's a person that definitely made an impact on the world just by sharing his passion for art. And everything he painted looked the same, and that didn't matter. We enjoyed, I mean, didn't look the same, but it had the same vibe. And that was, you know, we didn't mind. We were happy to see another version of a peaceful pastoral painting in Bob's style. And then, you know, you've got people like Fred Rogers, who same kind of guy, but you know, for kids only. But adults enjoyed Fred Rogers too, because he made us feel like kids again. We were watching Mr. Rogers with children in the room. We could relate to all of the things he was sharing, and we were happy that someone was telling our kids that the world was a good and safe place. And sometimes it doesn't feel that way. All right, so this is starting to come together. This is looking like an avocado. And so I'm going to check the chat here because I got delayed and didn't look at it. And I have 2 pairs of glasses. This is like a juggling act. So Lindsay says that it's cold and sunny. Well, sunny is good. I'm solar powered, so I super enjoy sunshine. And she's on her break at work at an aviary with 30 birds. That is so lovely. What kind of birds are at the aviary? I would love to know. I would just love to walk into a place where birds flew all around me. That'd be super cool. And Melinda Mulligan said here. Awesome. I know I probably asked a question, but I don't know what the answer is. What is the answer to? And my favorite artist was Darley and his melted clock piece. Oh, Dolly, yes. I think there's an R there. Yeah, that was very creative. I always marvel at people who have a natural ability to be creative with their art, because I'm mostly a reproductionist. I don't tend to make new things. I just make some version of a thing that I'm already looking at. So this is still wet, And so what I did yesterday at this point was I started the next painting so I could wait on the drying process. So I'm just gonna pull this out, fold the paper so it doesn't tear. And then I'm gonna do the same painting, but I'm gonna do it super fast and loose, and things are gonna be messy and crazy and you won't know what's gonna happen. Well, I mean, it's gonna be an avocado. It's gonna be watercolor, but it's gonna be, I'm gonna be just very free and loose, because I'm not gonna worry if things blend or touch, but I am just gonna go for it. So the good news is all my colors are already mixed pretty much, and I'll probably do my background later or not at all because I don't have any mixed right now, but we'll give that a go. And now let's see, what will I start with? I don't want it to totally mix everything together, so I will start with the nut and then the shell and then the nut and then the shell and then the pith. So a nice round circle for the nut. And I need more gold, more quinacridone gold. All sorts of birds, budgies, cockatiels, kakariki, Amazon, parrots. That's a fun word to say, kakariki. I don't know if I said it right, but it was fun to say. And switching glasses again so I can get nice and close to my art. Okay, here we go. So I said start with the pit. Make it as round as I can. Made it a little flat on the edge, but that's where it's cut in. That's where it sits. Now directly into the outline. I'm holding my breath. I do that. This one is a little chubbier than the other one. Oh. Got a little wiggly on the bottom there. It's okay. Happy little avocados. Happy accidents. Happy avocados. Okay, so this is direct watercolor now where I don't have any sketch lines. And, whoa! That was close. Yeah, no sketch lines, just paint. I like to add, if I'm going to add any, words, Lisa. If I'm going to add any lines, I'm going to do it later, like when I'm done the piece, when it's dry. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of line work just to accentuate things. All right, now I'm going to go directly in with some burnt sienna just for variety here. Actually, I have to pull some of that off. It's super soupy. I don't know if you can see that, but I want it dark, but I don't want it watery. That's a difference. Definitely a difference. It's not the same at all. Dark and watery are not the same. 15 minutes left. Well, I'm super happy that you're that you made it. So it says in my picture, it's like the Amazon parrot. Nice. Yeah, so I'm happy you stopped by and you chose my avocado for me, or you helped. And then also, you can always watch the replay, because when I'm done, I'll post the pictures on Instagram, and I'll also be doing a redux, a rendition of this art that you can see me doing it in super fast speed. So instead of taking an hour to watch me paint 2 avocados, you can watch me paint them in 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm happy that you had a chance to stop by, and I will check out your... Are you on Instagram? I know you told me that you paint birds. I would love to see them. All right, so I'm going in darker here. Still direct watercolor, no markers, no pencils, just brushes. Okay, it needs to be darker still. I think I'm gonna have to add something like an ultramarine blue, which sounds crazy, but blue and brown make a blackish color. So we're deepening this up. with some ultramarine, which I didn't use in my other painting, but I might because I have to go back into that one. All right, it's looking good. And in this loose style, things will bleed, and that's okay. But I don't want them to bleed too much. So I'm going to be really careful with this next phase, which is going to be the green, because this is not an egg. Hello, Amy. Nice to see you. Where in the world is Amy? I'm in Canada, East Coast, and we've got some UKers here this morning in the chat, and I'm painting an avocado. This is the second version of this avocado because I did another one that was a heavy sketched rendered avocado, and this one is a loose, flowy, no pencil, no pen, no lines avocado, and it's, see, that's going to happen, and that's okay because it's a loose sketch, and it's almost, if you're painting loose, it's almost better if you do have this happen. Now it ends up making this avocado look like it's a little like not so healthy, which is sad because who wants an underripe avocado? No, an overripe avocado. They taste the same, they just don't look very good. So I'm just going to pull a little bit of that off just so it's not overwhelming. Maybe I'll do the same with this other one, with this other blurb, and then I'll add more green on top to darken it up. Right in here, nice dark green, sap green, sap green. Well, thank you, Amy. I love that you love my videos. I'm happy that you're here. I find painting is so relaxing. It's fun to do. I've only been painting with watercolors. I was noticing the other day on my Instagrams, I just scrolled back to have a look at some of my older posts. I haven't posted there very regularly. I'm trying to increase that because I do enjoy watching other people's posts on Instagram. So I think, well, what the heck, maybe people would also like to see mine. So I noticed it was May of 2018 when I learned how to paint with watercolors, when I taught myself how to paint with watercolors. And that's not that long ago, really. All right, so we got some darker green now charging in on this wet on wet pith, and I'm gonna do the shadows next, and then I'm gonna set this aside to dry a little bit because I do want to add more stuff, but I don't want it to get overly blurred. All right, pull that in a little, just to give those shadows a little bit more of a, not shadows, highlights, a little bit less of a pure white look, especially close to the pit. We decided it was a pit. All right, so there's that, and then we're gonna drop shadow because the light source is coming in that direction. Shadow will be at the bottom. This is the second time I dropped my brush. This is the note. This is like message from the universe. Don't drop your brush because it makes a mess. Yesterday I had a big brown blotch right in the white section of my painting, and who wants that? Okay, so a shadow for this one is going to be down the bottom corner, and it's going to be a mixture of burnt umber and ultramarine blue, because that's fun. And a little more blue. Yeah, so that's a nice neutral color, and then I don't want too much of it. I want it watery because it's a shadow, but it's not going to be super. Okay, so here's where the shadow is going to start, right here. And then the avocado light source is coming this way, so it's going to be like this, and it's going to come underneath like that. like this, like that, and then I'm gonna have to sharpen up like where this meets, but I have to wait until it dries because sharp lines cannot happen wet on wet. Okay, so this is version 2 of the avocado. Now I'm gonna switch again, go back to the first one. So this is gonna have to dry. It's gonna switch places, put it back here, somewhere flat, so it doesn't ooze. I'm gonna put it behind me at the other side of my disc. And then we're gonna pull this one back. Hello, Mr. Avocado, you need some shadows. Okay, so I'm gonna use this color I just mixed and I'm gonna pull it into the shadow of this avocado so that it feels more shadowy, more real. All right, so we're gonna have, I'm also thinking I wanna darken it up before I add the shadows. I think I'll save the shadows for last, just because it really helps them pop off the page. And that's kind of the fun part. And I'm trying to see my reference and I'm making a lot of noise. Okay, I'm gonna switch brushes in a minute. I said I was gonna switch brushes right away and then I did not. Okay, organization, it's not my strong suit. Okay, so now I'm just trying to decide between darkening up this whole avocado section or doing the shadow. So I'm gonna go in and darken things, and I need to do some three-dimensional shading on the pit, and I also need to I think that part is good. So just some 3-dimension on the pit and then darkening up this edge before I do my shadow. Okay, so I want a darker version of this quinacridone gold with, maybe I'll add a little bit of something boring like burnt sienna. Not that that's boring, but compared to my favorite gold, it's less exciting. But if they're mixed together, the secret is to keep your colors cohesive by mixing things together. Oof, let me just double check that my stuff is showing me what I'm trying to see. All right, looks good. Okay, everything's still working. We're cooking with gas. All right, so looking at this, I see that there's like, there's a crisp edge over here. So I'm just gonna make a really fine line of dark down this back side, but it's a little bit in the light source, so it's not too dark, just a bit. Then taper that off. Then I see that there's a darker section that kind of goes underneath like this, and then it gets much darker here, and then a little more burnt umber, and pulling that in to the spot where it gets uber dark. This comes up over a bit, down under a bit. Such technical terms. All right, super shiny because I got a lot of paint on this brush. But you're going to see in a moment that there's a bit of mottling and some texture. I'm going to add a little bit of sparkles, and that's too dark, so I'm going to dry my brush and just pull that off a little. Yeah, much better. And these little dots are also too dark, so I'm also going to pull those off. There we go. Okay, liking that. Now I also want to darken this up, and I was going to do it with a mixture of burnt umber and ultramarine blue. So lots of paint here, super pigmented, not too much water. So pull as much blue off there as I can. All right. So Lindsay says, I found you on Facebook. I'll inbox you and share some of my art. Oh, yay. Gotta go. Have a good day. You have a good day too. Thanks for stopping in. I'm glad you found me on Facebook. All right. darkening this up. Ooh, that's super soupy. I like it. Dark. Okay, so we're going back in now to make the edges, just the edges, almost black, but it's blue and brown mixed together. I'm pulling it all through this. I had to wait for this to dry because otherwise it was gonna be the paper was probably gonna get oversaturated. So this paper is not really designed for super duper amounts of water. It's a mixed media paper, which is great, but it's not a watercolor paper. I need to find some watercolor paper that I like to work with, but I don't know. I do a lot of mixed styles of art. I'd like to draw, and sometimes watercolor paper, if that's all you got kicking around, it's too bumpy. And then the cold press, I don't like painting on as much, so I don't, or the hard pressed, what is it? The smooth watercolor paper. I like it to have a little bit of texture. Anyway, so I end up with this mixed media stuff, which is fine, but potentially also a bit limiting. Now that's looking good, but I think I'm going to add a tiny bit of vermilion into this darkness because you know, avocados are green, they're not blue and brown, so a little bit of green in here just to remind us that it is an avocado. All right, that is gonna dry now. I do not dare to add shadows on this yet because it definitely will be too, like this shadow. I am going to darken up this line. Oh, I need more pigment. Let's see. I'm going to go with some straight up burnt umber. Just going to pull this darkness right in here, try to be smooth and straight. Curved, but clean lines. Trying to make my lines clean. All right, that's pretty good. Now maybe just a little bit down here, since that's of course the way the light. Oh, I need my snappy brush for this. That's what's going on. I was wondering why I couldn't make my lines as straight as I wanted there, as smooth. It's because I was using this Oriental art brush, my cheapie. I paid, like, I got a set of them for $2.50, and they're awesome brushes, but inexpensive. And then I have this Princeton. This is like the most expensive thing I'm using today. It's a super awesome, very fine tipped round brush. So I'm able to be a little cleaner with my lines when I don't have too much paint on my brush, which I do right now. All right. You know, it's always the way it is. When you say you're going to make straight lines, you make wiggly lines. All right, it's going to be pretty good there. Pretty good. I'm just pulling a little bit off because I want to sharpen it up with a little bit of darkness. All right, so this is super wet and this needs to be painted, and I need to wait. So we're gonna hop back over to the other one, see what's going on over there, see if she got dry. All right, here it is, back in the limelight. Painting number 2, and a sip of coffee. All right. So Melinda says I'm doing good. Thank you. I'm happy with how it's looking so far. Oh. All right. So what was I going to do next here? Does anyone remember? Oh yeah, it was the shadow. The thing I was just doing on the other one. So I'm going to just go with a thin amount of paint here and try to go super close to the avocado pit. And then I'm going to come back on this with some saturated burnt umber. I used to always mix up the names of the colors burnt umber and burnt sienna because they're both brown and they're both burnt, and I don't really know why one is called one thing and the other is called another. So if anyone has a trick for that, I'd be happy to know. All right, so this is going to dry, and we're going to go back on the outside edge here with this black mixture that I made. Darken this up, especially down here at the bottom. And a little more blue for fun. Pull it up and grab a little more brown for more fun. Bring it on up. And now I need to make it a little bumpy because, you know, it's an avocado. Who ever heard of a super smooth avocado? Not me. All right. It's looking good. I'm never sure which one I'm going to like better. Like so far, every time I'm looking at the one I'm looking at, I'm like, oh, this one's better than the other one. And then I switch again. I'm like, oh, this one's better than the other one. So it's kind of a schmozzle of which one I like better. But this one is the loose, no sketch marks avocado, in case you got sidetracked or confused. You know how I keep it straight? Once I rip out the other one, I've got these rings around the top of this one. So it means I know which one is which. All right, there we go. It's looking good. All right, so now I need to add a little bit more color in the pit, and I was using burnt sienna and quinacridone gold. I have this little soupy mixture up here, so I'm gonna go up here with some shadow and then across this middle bit with some more shadow, super deep shadow down here in this edge right here, and just a little hint of shadow to make it look like it's a circle around here. Then I'm gonna pop in a little more burnt sienna. I have a little cheat sheet here. It says the names. That's how I keep it straight. Because, you know, why remember something if you can read it? Why remember something if you can Google it? Well, in case you don't have your phone. I would say always Googling things is not a good idea. All right, so that's the pit shadow. It's very wet, so it's kind of reflective right now. So I have a question here on my, oh, I see. Hello, Matthew. How long have I been live for? 1 hour and 30 minutes more, probably max. I tend to stream for an hour and a half. That tends to be how long it takes for me to chat while painting the same painting twice. That's just how it works out. All right, so now what do I need next? Well, this is still kind of wet. Thinking. Pretty happy with this. Pretty happy with that. Pretty happy down here. That might be it. So what I like to do with these when they're totally dry is go back in with a fine liner. So I'll use my Copic multi-liner or maybe my Tombow brush pen, or sometimes I use just like a regular Pigment Micron, and I'll just go in and I'll add some illustrative line work to this loose version just to make it have some more weight. But I can't do that now because this is wet. I guess the only thing that I feel is like this is a little severe right here, so maybe I'll just pull this out a little. Maybe I'll dry my brush. That's never a bad idea. I also feel it's a little tight for how loose this version is, so I'm just gonna loosen up this edge. Things are gonna get a little bit out of control, but that's okay. That's the whole point of painting loose, is letting the colors intermingle. But like I said, it kind of makes the avocado look rotten if you're not careful how you do it. All right, That's okay. Just that. I mean, it's always nice when things are perfect, but what is the word? Is it ikigai? No. What's the perfectly imperfect? Wabi sabi, maybe. Wabi sabi is the beauty in imperfections. All right. That is probably all I can do to this without actually making it worse right now. I could add some more texture inside the pit, but it's too wet to do a good job on that. All right, back to the other one. Switch. All right, so this is painting number 1. This is the one that I did painstaking. No, this is the one that I sketched 3 or 4 lines on first so that I could get the basic shapes the way I wanted them. So this one needs a shadow cast, a cast shadow down here. And I'm trying to think what else it might need. Not too much, really. It's getting there. Just gonna look at my reference one more time and see if I compare the colors, see what might need to be more. Maybe a little more depth in the pit, nut, seed, and then the shadow underneath it. There's a little bit of highlight in the green that I haven't got there, like maybe just here, but I can add that later with a gel pen. So a little bit more darkness down here and then the shadow underneath. I think that's what I'm gonna do, but I can't do it with my iPad on everything. There we go. Finally, I can see it all, mostly. There we go. All right, number 1. Thanks, Melinda. It's nice to see you guys are sticking with me while I paint. It's nice to have company. I mean, I was gonna paint no matter who showed up, but it's also nice to have someone to chat with while I'm painting. All right, let's just test this little piece of paper. I've got some strips off to the side here. And it's better to try it on a strip to find out that you don't like the color than it is to try it directly on your art. So I'm wondering about putting this brown right on the pit. And no, I'm going to use the burnt sienna. See, that's why I checked. So that was the burnt umber. This is the burnt sienna. And this has a nicer richness. I can drop a little bit of that in, but where I need it is here and here. It's really watery. Oh, that's not my, I just painted my table. I was trying to dab off on my paper towel, but it's on my lap. So I painted my table instead, my desktop. Okay, here we go. Charging in with a little more pigment on my brush. Just blending it there. Try not to scrap up the paper too much because this paper tends to be scrappy. All right, make these into little blobs with some water. Blobby blobs, because there's more texture than I have depicted. And grabbing some more paint. And so, Matthew, if you're still here, maybe you could share with us what part of the world you're in. I'm in Canada on the East Coast, and it is chilly today. Chilly. It's a chilly day, blustery, raining. A good day to be indoors making art. I wouldn't want to be outside today. All right, so there's a nice solid avocado pit, and then I am just going to tap a tiny little bit of burnt umber into this pit. Not too much, just down low where the shadows are, and then pull it over like this. So this painting is going to be in my new series, One Painting Two Ways. You'll find that here on my YouTube channel, and I'm basically streaming here to chat with people and creating my content for my channel at the same time. So, you know, killing two birds with one stone, although no birds were harmed in the making of this video. All right, so I'm ready to do the drop shadow now. The shadow at the bottom. I feel like I've got enough detail in the actual avocado. If I do any more, it's going to be too intense. So I'm just going to grab some super pale, super soupy black that I made with this ultramarine blue and burnt umber, and I'm going to cast the shadow underneath the avocado, just down under like this. Now I need a little more pigment, see if I can get any in this puddle. It's not a very dark puddle, so possibly not. That looks good. All right. Now, I do have a gel pen, and I am going to add some highlights, and that always makes things great. The two things that make a painting get finished, I said this in my last live stream, and I'll probably say it in my next live stream. Sometimes I don't like my art, and the reason I don't like it is because it's not done, and I don't know it's not done because I'm still painting. But it's the lack of shadow and the lack of highlight that makes things feel unfinished. So if you have enough shadow and highlight in your art, it feels completed. All right, I'm just going to pull some of this off. It feels a little heavy. Oh, it feels a little light. I don't want to overwork it. Like I said, this paper doesn't really deal well with too much water, so I'm just gonna let that dry. I think I want it to be a little bit more desaturated, so I'm gonna add some more. Maybe not, maybe I can get it. Let's see, what if I soften this edge a little? That helps. And then make it just like a blurry shadow. A little water on my brush. Water is the secret to watercolors. If you don't have enough water, then you might as well use acrylics or gouache or some other less flowy medium. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. It's a little wet. You can see the highlight sparkling there in my most recent painted section. And now we have to wait for it to dry. So we're gonna switch again. So I've been painting for an hour, and let's show you what I've got so far. So far I've got these two things. So this is the loose, and this is the sketch. Sketch, loose, sketch, loose. They each have their own charm. I see some things now in this loose one that I can improve. So I've looked at them back to back. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring out this corner of the pit with some darker golden colors. So I think I will thin my, I think I've done this already, burnt sienna with a little bit of quinacridone gold. So just grab the gold and plop that over here, a little more gold. And some burnt sienna, just to tone it down a little. So this edge of the pit over here, I feel like it needs a little bit more circularness. That's not a word. It needs to be more rounded. And I really like the way this bled over. It doesn't look like the avocado is rotten. It just looks like a loose style of painting, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. So yay, happy about that. And then a little more water. I'm just gonna blend this edge in a little bit. Just pull off some of the pigment and bring it into the water. And then bring this into this bottom, and then get a little more pigment down here on this section, just to really give it some weight. That looks nice. That looks nice. Now, maybe just a little bit of like bright green right around the edge. So I'm gonna take my sap green and mix it with some of this yellow. And it's got a bit of vermilion in there too. So it's kind of a schmozzle of greens. Maybe I'll put more vermilion. Let's try that on my scrap of paper. You know, the fancy trick where you test things before you use them. See how bright that is? I think it's going to be beautiful. So because this one is a little more playful, I can get away with this exaggerated green color. The thing I like about doing the same painting two ways is it also gives me a chance to experiment and not wreck both of them. So sometimes I do something and I'm like, not sure I like it. And then I don't do it to the other one. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, this is risky. Should I try it? And so I try it on one, usually the loose one. And then I see if I like it. And I'm like, cool, I'm really glad I tried that. I'm going to add it to the other one too. All right, so now I'm just blending that in with a bit of water just to pull it into the rest of the avocado so that it doesn't just look like I painted a line down the edge, because that was not what I was intending. I was intending it to be a little bit transitional from the edges. So this one's a little underripe. This one you probably shouldn't eat just yet. You cut open this avocado, you're like, shoot, it's too green. I can't eat it yet. I'm just gonna bring a little bit of green out to touch in there. I like a little shadow, but not too much. Too much white, or a little highlight. Not too much, because too much white out there makes it look completely separate, which it's not. It's not separate. It's part of the same thing. So I'm just pulling that out like that and trying not to touch too much of the brown, because I think some of it might still be wet. All right. Oh, it's looking good now. Yep, that was a little too much edging on in the green, in the white area. Too much white. Now it's looking good. I'm adding a little more of this punchy green just on this bottom edge, because this is the dark side, the dark side of the avocado. Whoever is not tuned in right now is missing out on my silly humor. And my apologies also. Okay, so there we go. Darker green, blendy blend. Pop a little bit of irregular dark green in some other spots just to not make it look too particular, if that's a word. And when I say too particular, I mean too planned. I want it to look free, you know, even though it's taken me 20 minutes to paint this. I know I've been streaming it, I've been painting for an hour, but I've been painting two paintings, and I definitely spent more time on the other one than on this one. All right, so there we go. That's looking plenty intense. Now, down here at the very bottom, I'm going to crisp up that edge. So there's going to be some super darkness just in here. And again, I'm going to try to super saturate. Lots of pigment of ultramarine blue and burnt umber. So I'm pulling as much paint as I can off this brush, and then going back in for the blue. And that looks pretty good. And now, right down here, just gonna accent this dark, dark, dark section. So you lose some of the details, and it's gonna just like sit right on the table. So this is what's gonna make the painting pop. Any of these super dark shadows that I add will give it the weight that was missing before. And that's usually when I think that painting doesn't look good, is because I didn't have enough shadows. And I'm gonna do the same thing. No, I can't, it's all wet in there. I need to do one more thing on this one, which is to really add that darkness inside. I'm gonna try and go right along here with some super dark. Just a few little bumps of super dark. Start there. Because you know, avocados are very irregular. Okay. It's getting there. It is getting there. Okay. Let's see if I can just pull a little bit of this off. It's super thick. It'll take forever to dry if I don't pull at least some of it off. There we go. Okay. So the last thing we're going to do in this one in a minute or 5 is we're going to add a little bit of depth in there, and actually I might end up doing that in post with a pen when it's super totally dry. Okay, one more switch, maybe one more, maybe 2 more, but we're getting there. This is the first one that I started. Looks about the same as the second one. So this is the loose, this is the sketch, and now I'm gonna check on depth of shadow. So in getting there, I need a little bit of anchor point down here. I need to connect the shadow to the rest of it. So I'm just going to use this super dark, pretty dark, desaturated brown. And I'm just going to see what I can do down here to really make it look heavy. And just a couple more dots up here of heaviness. And then right in here, another thin line. And I also did that fun thing with the green on the other one, and I did like it in the end. But I don't know if I need to in this one. I feel like there's enough going on in the green on this one that it doesn't need more. The only thing that I might add now is a bit of highlight. So just see if it's dry enough to add highlights. I feel like it is. Woohoo. Okay. So let's see. Clean off my brush. Always clean your brushes. Always clean your brushes. Now let's see if my jelly roll is working. Yesterday it was being fussy. Oh, I think I want a darker shadow here. One more thing. Just a little more darkness in the shadow right underneath. Otherwise it looks like there's too much light in the image. So see what I can do here to pull in a little more color. I tried to put a lot of color before, but I remember I pulled it off because it was too soupy. And I didn't want it soupy. Soupy is bad when it comes to watercolor. Soupy is great when it comes to soup. This is not soup. This is a painting. All right, that's going to be better. Just dab a little more depth right in there. Okay, any more and I'm gonna make a mess, so I'm gonna stop making messes. Maybe just pull this to the side a little bit. I just got a little paintbrush in my art. There we go. One little stray bristle. This is a natural fiber brush, so sometimes the bristles come off in your art. All right. So now I'm gonna check out this jelly roll and see if it is working. So we're just gonna scribble something here, see if it shows up. Yep, it does. Very good. Okay, so now I have to decide where I want to add a little bit of highlight. So just up here along this edge. Just brighten that up a little. And then it probably catches some brightness here as well, along this edge. And there's a little more brightness down here. And just in here. Now, I'm going to put some right on the pit itself. And that is looking nice and bright. So, oh, hey, Will, you're back. Upset because you can't find your Canada t-shirt, and it must have gotten rid of it in a room swap we had a few months ago. I really want to post. I'm going to have to get a new one. What's a room swap? You need to tell me what that is. I assume it means you changed where you're living to a different room. But sad you lost your Canada t-shirt also. T-shirt? Shirt. T-shirt. What do you think of my avocado? I did too. I don't know if you saw the other one. But, you know, we're almost done the stream. What is it now? 10:26. So there's like 5 minutes or so left. Sadly. But it's been fun. I've been enjoying it. I hope you have too. I'm happy with these little avocados. Trying to make sure I get enough highlight on this without overdoing it. It's easy to overdo it. Super easy. And some of the best places to add highlights are right beside the darkness because it really pops. It makes both things much more lifelike and full when you've got shadow right beside light. All right, that's good. A little bit of light down here. This is probably very hard for you to see what I'm doing. Like, in real life, I can see a big difference when I add these little dots and splotches, but I'm sure that in the actual stream, it's like I'm doing nothing. Probably like I'm doing nothing. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing I just did, which is like a little bit of highlight just along there, and maybe right in here. Okay, just for fun, a little bit right at that edge. All right, I'm thinking it's done. What do you think? Do you think it's done? I had to swap bedrooms when my sister moved in to look after me and my brother when our mom passed away. Oh, that's good of your mom, of your sister to come look after you and your brother. She had to have the bigger room. Someone helped me move my clothes to the new room. Well, some good things there, but you can't. Your shirt, maybe your shirt is just in the other room. Maybe check with someone. Maybe they've found it. I must have gotten rid of it thinking I'm never going to Canada, so why should I keep it? I'm regretting it now. I can't find it anywhere. Canada, go Canada. Well, I mean, you don't need to come to Canada to wear a Canada shirt, but if you want to, you can. All right, let's sign this art. I feel like it's done. I usually sign in the dark shadows. That is wet, so I'm gonna have to go a little more prominent this time. Let's see if I can make it straight. So here we go. It's 2021, isn't it? Make my A fancy. Okay, so there is my tight sketched avocado. And now I'm going to switch over and see if I can make that dark line dark, or if I'm going to have to wait until it dries. I feel like I'm going to have to wait until that dries to add in, I'll do it with line work just to darken, and some hatches too. So some fun things to do with your art after you're done is do the line work. So I'm going to show you my process here just on this little scrappy piece of paper. But what I basically do is say this is the shape. Because it's loose style, I don't want to just exactly, like, I'm not going to trace the edge like this. I'm going to go around the edge, and sometimes I'm going to have a little white around, and sometimes I'm going to go into the color. So the whole idea is to be not too particular. So I will be adding some pen in here just to add darkness to the bottom of that avocado pit. And then, because I might want some more darkness or more contrast or things like that, I'll do some hatching. So the way you hatch is you try to follow the shape of your item. So if this was going to be a worm or something curved, I would add a little curve to my to my hatch marks, and then when I go the other way, I would curve the way that goes too, and then it will just give a little bit of depth and texture. And if I didn't want it so dark, I would use a finer point, and if I wanted it darker, I might come back in with a whole nother set of lines that go in a different direction if I wanted more extreme shadows. So once this is dry, that's what I'm gonna do. I do see one thing I can do right now though before it dries, which is this is still not a dark enough shadow right at the spot where it's touching. Over here it's fine, but I need it to really pop off the page. All right, so building this, what do you call it? Desaturated dark tone one more time, just to plop some right at the base of this avocado. Just at the base, so it looks like it's touching the table, because before it was just looking like it was, there's a lot of light seeping in from places. I'm just going to spread that a little, give it some chance to flow, pull it out, and then blend it like so. That's better. Definitely better. Okay, so this one is as done as it's going to get on the stream. So I'm going to sign it now. And then I'm going to edit these videos down just like I did yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw the berries that I posted this morning. A bowl of berries. We painted it together last night on stream. And I rendered it down. I rendered it down to be 8 minutes without the pausing to talk, and also in time lapse, so everything goes by a lot faster. And that is it. Okay, so look at that, 10:30. Usually my streams are 90 minutes. I hesitate to say how long they're going to be, but they're almost always the same length. So which one do you like better? This is the loose, quick sketch of the avocado. I'll pull that in a little closer so you can see it up close. I don't think it's just going to get blurrier, but you get the idea here. It's an avocado, and this was done loose, no pen marks whatsoever. And then this was the one I started with, that I sketched meticulously and drew the whole thing out, so I knew where everything was going to go. Now, I mean, it's an avocado, so really, how difficult is that? Not too difficult. All right, so that's the fully sketched, and that is the loose painting. Sketch, painting. They just look like two avocados, two different avocados. This one has more seed in the middle, like it's a baby avocado with a really big seed, and this one is like hardly any seed, but a nice big juicy avocado. Yep. All right, that's gonna be it for today's stream. I'm just gonna pull up some things here on my screen. Actually, I'll maybe just flip back into full face cam so I can say a proper goodbye to those of you who are still with me at the end. I see there are 4 of you. And thank you very much for watching. I'm super happy that you have joined me, and hope your weekend is shaping up nicely, and that you have health and good times and wonderful, wonderful life. All right, I'll see you guys probably next Saturday. No promises, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to do another one next week. It'd be nice to see you all again. Probably around the same time. This time works for me. So I'll catch you next week. Bye.